What a game. The Indiana Fever snap the New York Liberty's undefeated streak.
The word undeniable exists for a reason, and it applies to Caitlin Clark. She is just absolutely undeniable, and her return to the Indiana Fever showed it once again. It felt like a jolt of energy to the WNBA, obviously to the Indiana Fever, who
After Caitlin Clark returned from injury and destroyed the reigning champion Liberty with 32 points, the WNBA made the most embarrassing error in sports history. 11 times this season, someone in a suit determined she needed a drug test. The internet's response was reportedly quick, harsh, and humorous. There is currently opposition to the league. They didn't anticipate it. Do you believe the WNBA is genuinely attempting to undermine its biggest star, or is this ineptitude an accident?
Congrats on your great performance.
Thanks.
Just want to let you know you have a huge fan base in Hong Kong.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And
hopefully I'll get there one day.
And today, there are 5 Hong Kong fans fly from Hong Kong to
No
Indiana.
way. Oh my gosh.
And the hour is 22 hours.
No way. Oh my goodness. Well, I wish I could have met
them. Just want to say
them.
this, including me.
If you know them, tell them thank you for coming. That's incredible.
Yeah, so any plans you will visit Hong Kong with your teams in the future years?
Yeah, maybe we'll head to Hong Kong after the season. I mean, I certainly hope to go to Hong Kong one day. It's incredible to see the type of reach that we can have and how much people love basketball across the globe. So that's really cool. So if you know them, tell them I say hello and thanks for coming as well.
Yeah, thank you. Hope one day to show you around.
Yeah, absolutely.
The facts are so absurd that they sound made up. So let's start with them. After missing 5 games due to injury, Caitlin Clark returns, scores 32 points against the reigning champions, and leads her side to a decisive victory that ends New York's winning streak. According to sources, her prize for this outstanding performance is a mandated drug test, the 11th one this season. To put things in perspective, the majority of WNBA players get tested once in the off-season and 3 times during the regular season.
I'm going to say it. Caitlin Clark is the best basketball player in the world. She's the best basketball player that I have ever seen. She is the difference maker. She is the needle mover. She is the face of basketball right now. It's really hard not to recognize the difference that she makes on the Indiana Fever, a team that was obviously struggling with playmaking, struggling with pacing, struggling with the things that make us want to watch. And she steps into that court, and in the first quarter, she made
Upon reviewing Clark's stat sheet in the WNBA office, it appears that he scored 32 points despite missing 5 games. It's evident that skill, preparation, and basketball prowess couldn't account for her success. Thus, she must be doing drugs. Performance-enhancing medications had to be involved. The responses on social media were swift and ruthless. She tested positive for goat blood, which honestly might be the most accurate drug test result in sports history, said a user. Another suggested that they test Scott Foster for drugs while they're at it, which is arguably the most sensible recommendation anybody has made about WNBA officiating throughout the season.
And Cunningham is down behind the play, but they've got Caitlin Clark to fire away from 2 players with incredible...
However, my favorite answer was from someone who said that in order to determine whether she is truly human, a DNA test should have been performed. Because, let's face it, Clark's actions against the Liberty appeared magical. The game began with 3 three-pointers in 38 seconds. That is not how people typically behave. That's stuff from video games. The timing is extremely odd and embarrassing for the league. Clark's quad injury keeps him out of 5 games. Returns against the league's top team and promptly demonstrates to everyone why she is the face of professional basketball. Not only was her return positive, but it was also historic. With 17 three-pointers, the Fever set a franchise record. The whole basketball world remembered why they watched Clark play, and she appeared to have never left. In response, the league said, "Let's make sure she's not cheating." The Titanic appears to be a small navigational error because to the poor optics. The player who single-handedly raised viewership and popularized women's basketball is your biggest star. And after her best performance in weeks, you treat her like a possible criminal. Although the WNBA's drug testing policy is purportedly random, 11 tests for a single player in a single season starts to seem less random and more like harassment. The necessary 3 tests are administered to other players. If they are unfortunate, they may be tested 4 times. After outstanding performances, Clark is reportedly receiving the premium package, which includes a post-game specimen collection. Let's talk about what actually happened in that Liberty game, because the performance was so good that it apparently prompted a drug test. Clark came out firing from the first tip, hitting 3 logo threes in the first quarter that had Breanna Stewart giving her 5 feet of space and still watching the ball go through the net. That's pure skill, not chemical enhancement. Combined with the kind of confidence that sets superstars apart from regular players, the genius part of Clark's performance wasn't just the scoring. She orchestrated the entire offense, created opportunities for teammates, and made the reigning champions appear ordinary on their home court. Someone who spent 5 games on the bench learning how to demolish the top team in the league gave this master lecture on basketball. However, someone in the WNBA office determined that this return performance deserved to be investigated rather than being celebrated. For heaven's sake, their biggest star might not be a truly exceptional basketball player. She makes the game seem so simple that there must be a reason other than skill, work ethic, and basketball IQ. The responses from fans reveal how tone-deaf this choice seems. The ridiculousness was summed up in one comment. The WNBA is in shock that they have a quality player at last. That opinion is in line with what a lot of people believe, that the league is so unaccustomed to real superstar talent that they are unsure of how to deal with it when it does arise. Based on recent results, it is both humorous and mathematically correct that Clark receives more drug tests than Angel Reese scores points per game, according to another user. The league's treatment of Clark is on the verge of absurdity, as evidenced by the numerous and harsh parallels. The jokes about magic numbers are self-written. Drugs must be the cause of 12 assists in a game. Hitting images from the logo on a regular basis. Unquestionably suspicious. Simply by being on the floor, improving her teammates. It's time for another exam. Because of the league, brilliance now inevitably leads to an investigation.
Keep it down! Go! Yeah!
Good job.
No, we can.
Whew, good job. Squad needed it. Played Fever way. I love it. More of them.
This is what makes this even more absurd. Clark's supremacy isn't a recent development that warrants skepticism. This is what she has been doing since college. The no-look passes, the deep threes, and the seemingly superhuman court vision. As a player, this is simply who she is. This kind of performance is typical for her when she is healthy, as anyone who has followed her career would attest. The league either doesn't comprehend their own star or doesn't want to think she's really this good, as seen by the drug test conducted after this specific game. Neither of these explanations speaks highly of the WNBA's leadership or their capacity to identify and appropriately assist exceptional players. The events that took place against the Liberty were not unique. After being out, Clark was playing at her typical level. She reminded everyone that the Fever with Clark are an entirely different team than the Fever without her due to her injury. They are now competitive with their reigning champions as the attack improves and teammates receive better looks. Social media users' accusations that the WNBA is deliberately attempting to undermine their own product hit an all-time high. You've fundamentally misjudged how to create and promote a professional sports league when your biggest star puts on a performance that ought to be lauded by the entire league, and your answer is to make drug testing mandatory. It becomes inevitable to draw comparisons to other sports. The NBA doesn't test Steph Curry for drugs when he makes 9 three-pointers in a game. They promote the highlights. The NFL honors a player's performance when they throw for 400 yards. It seems that chemical analysis is only necessary for excellence in the WNBA. At the core of the WNBA's ongoing identity dilemma, one especially harsh critique stated that Clark has been tested more times than the league has adequately promoted her. Their product receives unparalleled exposure thanks to a generational talent, and instead of jubilation, they are met with distrust. It is made worse by the timing of this disclosure. Appointment television was Clark's comeback game. Particularly, people watched to see how she would fare following the injury hiatus. We learned that she was drug tested after the performance, which went above and above expectations, produced viral moments, and attracted the kind of favorable attention the WNBA sorely needs. Although the league's drug testing policy is nominally random, the optics point to a more focused approach. When a player is consistently chosen for testing, particularly following exceptional performances, it begins to resemble systematic harassment of their biggest star rather than random selection. The irony is that the WNBA ought to celebrate Clark's accomplishment the most. This athlete attracts large audiences, boosts viewing, sells goods, and elevates women's basketball to the level of mainstream sports. Her games seem to be the focal point of their drug test schedule rather than their marketing plan. The remarks made by fans on this circumstance demonstrate how detrimental this strategy is to the league's standing. You've lost control of the story when your biggest star is being made fun of by your audience. Your priorities are obviously out of alignment when jokes about drug testing garner more attention than game highlights. Social media users were quick to point out the ridiculousness. Jokes about testing for basketball talent and requests that the league examine other players to discover why they can't perform at Clark's level were among the comments. This choice has been ridiculed with unrelenting inventiveness. This is made considerably more troublesome by the larger context. In an effort to raise player pay and enhance working conditions, the WNBA is now engaged in collective bargaining talks. It doesn't exactly reflect well on the league's handling of players when rumors surface that your top star is being subjected to overzealous drug testing. The league's decision-making process is further called into question by the timing of these tests. Following strong results, Clark is put to the test, giving the appearance that achievement breeds distrust. You want to convey the exact opposite message to players who are already in the game, or who might become stars in the future. The social media responses have been quite entertaining, with jokes ranging from testing for pure basketball talent to suggesting that Clark should demand to view other players' test results for comparison. Users have turned this into a comedic goldmine. The inventiveness of making fun of this choice demonstrates how clearly problematic it seems to outsiders. When one user pointed out that Clark is tested for drugs more frequently than most players receive meaningful playing time, it effectively summed up the issue. That observation draws attention to both the overly demanding nature of her testing and the underlying mediocrity that characterizes a large portion of the league's talent pool. The way the league handled this case shows a basic misconception about how to handle high-profile players. You defend and support a player who has the ability to completely alter the course of your sport. You don't put them through continual testing that suggests their achievements aren't valid. The league's attempts to establish credibility on competitive balance are further compromised by the drug testing disclosure. What does it say about the general level of competition if your top player is continuously put to the test because their performance seems too exceptional to be natural? It implies that either one player is cheating or that everyone else is far worse than they ought to be. Fans' response to the league strategy has been overwhelmingly unfavorable, with many pointing out that Clark's treatment is a reflection of larger problems with WNBA leadership and decision-making. When every member of your audience is making fun of a league decision, you should probably reevaluate your strategy. The WNBA appears amateurish in comparison to other professional sports leagues, which is the most detrimental part of the whole scenario. Big sports organizations are aware that income and interest are generated by superstar performances. Instead of researching excellence, they celebrate it. The WNBA's strategy implies that they either purposefully intend to disregard this fundamental idea or don't get it. It's evident from the comments and responses that supporters believe this is indicative of more significant issues with the league's operations. The WNBA's incapacity to effectively manage and market their most valuable assets is symbolized by the drug tests. The league has a major PR issue when even casual onlookers can see how ridiculous the situation is. We'll see. Analyze this testing frequencies, statistical absurdity. Clark is being tested at over 4 times the rate of other players, as evidenced by her 11 drug tests in a single season compared to the league's standard of 3 tests. It's not a random sample. That's a targeted probe masquerading as standard procedure. Calling it a coincidence would be an insult to fundamental intelligence because the statistical likelihood of one player being chosen at random 11 times while others are tested 3 times is so minuscule. After her accident, Clark appeared as though she hadn't missed any practice. She had flawless shooting form. She made perfect decisions and had surgical court vision. This is the appearance of elite professional basketball, and the league questioned its legitimacy in response. The background of Clark's injury comeback makes this even more awful. Due to a quad injury, she missed 5 games. Strain collaborated with trainers and medical personnel to guarantee her safe return. The notion that she improved her recuperation or performance in any way by using illicit narcotics is offensive not only to her work ethic, but also to the medical staff that oversaw her rehabilitation. From initial skepticism to outright contempt of league management, social media commentary has changed over time. People are making complex jokes about what drugs Clark might be abusing. The term performance-enhancing basketball talent gained popular. It has been reported that she has been using illicit amounts of court vision supplements. The inventiveness with which this judgment was ridiculed demonstrates how universally foolish it seems to everyone with functional brain cells. It becomes cruel and natural to compare yourself to other players. While some players struggle to make simple shots without any chemical analysis at all, Clark is tested 11 times for being too skilled. It implies that although mediocrity is entirely normal, success is suspicious. A professional sports league should be sending the exact opposite message. The shame is increased by the global viewpoint. Clark highlighted her appeal's global reach by mentioning admirers who traveled from Hong Kong to see her play. Now, those fans from other countries can read about how the league examines their favorite player for drugs because they are too gifted. Treating excellence with mistrust is the epitome of a professional sports organization. The worst possible optics are created by the timing of this revelation, which comes right after a strong comeback performance. We see reports regarding drug testing procedures and possible harassment rather than headlines applauding Clark's return. The league was able to create a PR disaster out of their most promising story of the week. This creates a risky precedent for the league's future. What message does it send to young athletes hoping to compete at the highest levels if outstanding performance automatically results in more drug testing? Put in a lot of effort, hone your abilities, and win games, but if you do too well, you can be viewed as a possible cheater. Fans are more invested in Clark than just his basketball skills. Because of her influence on the sport, people have purchased jerseys, gone to games, and developed a passion for the WNBA. It feels like a betrayal of that financial and emotional investment when the league treats her like a suspected criminal for doing precisely the kind of performance that made her famous. It must be interesting to see how the coaching staff views this circumstance. When your best player gets tested for drugs each time she plays a fantastic game, can you imagine managing a team? The psychological effects of that ongoing inspection may have an impact on team dynamics and performance. This strategy backfires against league interests in yet another way. The ramifications for business are enormous. The presence of Clark boosts ticket sales, retail revenue, and television ratings. You are effectively looking into your own success when your main source of income is the target of excessive drug testing. Millions of dollars are being paid to consultants by the league to figure out how to increase their viewership, while the player who solved the issue on his own is being harassed. The league strategy has been widely criticized in the media's coverage of this circumstance. The rationale and fairness of testing Clark so frequently have been publicly questioned by sports writers who typically refrain from taking sides. You've lost the public when even impartial onlookers are criticizing your choices. Relationships are a total struggle. If the league can subject Clark to extensive testing for being too good, the Player Association should be incensed about this abuse of its most prominent member. For whatever purpose they create, what is to stop them from attacking other players? This establishes a precedent that compromises the rights and dignity of players throughout the league. This is made worse by the historical setting. Respect and recognition for women's sports have always been difficult to come by. When the WNBA eventually acquires a player that gives their product credibility and widespread attention, they start to doubt the legitimacy of that achievement. It's the ultimate kind of self-sabotage. When examined closely, the competitive balance argument collapses. Other teams would be calling for inquiries if Clark's supremacy was manufactured. Rather, while acknowledging her talent, opposition players and coaches bemoan the difficulty of defending against it. It's not suspicious. That is outstanding competence acknowledged professionally. In reaction to this treatment, the fan base has united around Clark, causing supporters and league administration to adopt a we versus them mentality. You have seriously misinterpreted your function as a sports entertainment company when your audience is actively opposing your administrative actions. It is a total failing of league objectives that the drug testing narrative has eclipsed real basketball conversation. We are discussing specimen collecting procedures rather than Clark's play, her growth as a second-year professional, or the team's enhanced camaraderie. The league has succeeded in turning their biggest star into a victim rather than a celebration. The WNBA's continuous battle for success is aptly captured by this circumstance. They are in dire need of more revenue and widespread recognition. However, they react with mistrust and inquiry when they receive exactly what they have been requesting. When someone brings you a 5-star meal, it's like whining about being hungry and then doubting the quality of the food. When greatness leads to drug tests rather than celebration, the WNBA somehow managed to turn their best star's victorious comeback into a PR catastrophe. You are aware that the leadership of the league is seriously flawed. How do you feel about this entire situation? Please share your opinions below. If you believe the league should apologize to Clark, please hit the like button and subscribe for more self-written sports drama.